Why do I start things but never finish them? Some people are not lazy. They are emotionally tired of becoming disappointed in themselves. And nobody sees this pain because unfinished dreams are invisible. People only see the person scrolling. They see the person sleeping too much. They see the person changing goals every month. The person saying, "I'll start tomorrow." But they do not see the silent war happening underneath. The war between who you could become and the version of you that no longer trusts itself. Because something strange happens after years of unfinished beginnings. A person stops fearing failure and starts fearing their own potential. You can feel it. Every time life gives you a real opportunity, your energy suddenly disappears. You procrastinate. You overthink. You distract yourself. You wait for motivation. You restart instead of continue. And eventually, you begin secretly believing something is wrong with you. But maybe this was never laziness. Maybe your nervous system became exhausted from carrying too many broken promises to yourself. Because every unfinished chapter leaves emotional residue. People think procrastination is about time management. No. Sometimes procrastination is grief. The grief of watching yourself slowly becoming someone you never planned to be. And the dangerous part is, the world normalizes this suffering. People laugh about being unproductive. People joke about avoiding their dreams. People call self-abandonment being realistic. Meanwhile, millions of human beings are silently disconnecting from themselves every single day. You know what hurts the most? It's not failing. It's watching your life move forward while your spirit stays emotionally stuck in the same place for years. Some people have not rested in a very long time. Not physically, emotionally. Because carrying unrealized potential becomes heavy. Especially when deep inside you know you were meant for more. And maybe that sentence triggered something inside you. Because there are people listening right now who were once full of life. They had ideas. They had passion, vision, energy. Then disappointment happened. Rejection happened. Embarrassment happened. Survival mode happened. And slowly, they stopped fully showing up for their own lives. Not all at once, little by little, until one day they woke up feeling disconnected from themselves. Still smiling, still functioning, but internally feeling emotionally absent from their own existence. And this is where most people misunderstand the human mind. The mind does not always avoid effort. Sometimes it avoids emotional pain connected to effort. Because if trying once made you feel rejected, humiliated, ignored, or not enough, your nervous system remembers. So now every dream feels emotionally dangerous. That is why you freeze. Not because you do not care. Because somewhere inside you, your brain learned that hope can hurt. And some people rarely talk about this hidden exhaustion. The exhaustion of constantly starting over. The exhaustion of rebuilding confidence every Monday. The exhaustion of pretending you still believe in yourself. The exhaustion of watching other people move while you remain emotionally trapped between fear and desire. And maybe the deepest pain of all is that nobody around you fully understands how hard you are fighting just to stay emotionally functional. Some people are not lazy. They are carrying invisible disappointment every day. And disappointment changes human behavior. It makes people delay things they love. It makes people doubt opportunities. It makes people emotionally retreat from life before life can reject them again. So instead of chasing purpose, they hide inside distractions, entertainment, fantasy, busyness, and so on. Anything to avoid sitting alone with the feeling of, I know I'm capable of more, so why can't I move? But there's something deeper happening here, and most people never realize it. You cannot build a peaceful future while secretly hating yourself for your past. That inner conflict drains energy because the mind becomes divided. One part wants growth, the other part wants protection. And protection almost always chooses familiarity over transformation, even if familiarity is painful. You know, some ancient teachings believe that when water becomes disturbed, you do not force it to be clear. You let the depth settle naturally. That truth is powerful because many people are trying to force themselves into healing while internally living in emotional chaos. They pressure themselves constantly. They do more. They move faster. They figure their life out and ask themselves, why are you behind? But pressure without emotional healing creates resistance. And resistance slowly becomes paralysis. So now the person looks lazy externally, while internally they are overwhelmed, overstimulated, emotionally fractured, and spiritually exhausted. And this is the hidden truth most productivity videos never talk about. You do not always need more discipline. Sometimes you need reconnection. Because people can only abandon themselves for so long before the soul becomes tired. That is why some people suddenly cry at night for no reason, for no clear reason. It is not weakness, it is emotional accumulation. Years of suppressed disappointment finally asking to be felt. And maybe next part will change the way you see yourself forever. Your procrastination may not always be fear of failure. It may be of discovering what happens if you truly give everything and still do not receive love, validation, or acceptance. That fear lives deeper than motivation. It lives inside identity, and identity controls behavior, which means many people are not avoiding work. They are avoiding emotional exposure because finishing something makes you visible to judgment, visible to comparison, visible to rejection. So the brain creates delay patterns to protect the heart. And the scary part is, the longer this continues, the more a person begins disconnecting from their future. And eventually, they stop dreaming fully. Not because dreams disappeared, but because hope became emotionally expensive. But listen, my dear friend, listen carefully. You are not broken. You are carrying survival patterns that once protected you. There's a difference, a huge difference. Survival patterns are learned, which means they can also be unlearned. In Ecclesiastes 11, verse 4, it says, "Whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the cloud will not reap." In other words, if you wait for perfect certainty, perfect emotion, perfect timing, your life may never begin. Because transformation rarely starts with confidence. It starts with honesty. And here is the healing experience I want you to try tonight. Not tomorrow, tonight. This is the solution. Future self collision. Turn off every distractions for 10 minutes. No music. No scrolling. No motivations. And just sit alone quietly. Then imagine meeting yourself 5 years from now. Not the fantasy version. The real version created by current habits. Look into their face. Look carefully. Do they look alive? Do they look peaceful? Do they look free? Or they look emotionally exhausted from years of avoidance? Now imagine them asking you one question. Why did you keep abandoning us when we still had time? That question reaches somewhere deeper than motivation. Because suddenly your future becomes emotionally revealed, emotionally real. And this exercise does something powerful psychologically. It reconnects action with identity. It interrupts unconscious delay patterns. It awakens urgency without panic. It rebuilds self-awareness. And most importantly, it helps you stop seeing yourself as lazy and start seeing yourself as someone who has been emotionally disconnected from their own future. That realization changes people, not temporarily, but deeply. Because healing begins the moment a person finally understands their behavior with compassion instead of shame. You know, a tree does not hate itself during winter. It understands the season it's in. And maybe your life is not failing. Maybe part of you are simply waiting to reconnect with sunlight again. So stop calling yourself lazy every time your soul feels tired. Stop treating yourself like a machine. You are a human being carrying memories, pressure, invisible fear, carrying silent disappointment and dreams that still want to live. And despite everything, you are still here. You are still listening, still searching, still hoping something inside you can change. That matters more than you realize. Because people who are truly finished with life stop searching for healing. But you are still searching, which means something inside you still believes in possibility, even if only a little. And sometimes a little hope is enough to begin again. Not perfectly, not all at once, just honestly. Like rain returning slowly to dry ground. Like roots finding water deep beneath the surface. Like a river continuing forward, even after hitting stone. So if this message found you at the right time, at the right moment, maybe life is not asking you to become somebody else. Maybe life is asking you to stop abandoning who you already are. And maybe tonight, instead of planning another perfect future, you simply choose one small promise and finally keep it. Dear friend, what part of this felt like your life? And what do you think your mind has been trying to protect you from all these years? Share your comment in the comment section so that someone reading will pick an inspiration from. Thanks so much for joining me. I am ThePZipporah.